Hi, guys. I know Carolyn's live. I just called her because I'm making dinner. Lisa, Carolyn's live. I don't know if you know. She's um, probably doing more selling. So I may not get many people, and that's fine. Told her I was still going to do it anyway. If anybody wants to listen, they can. If not, that's okay too. I told her I'll be right over there as soon as I get done. Okay? I have a new magazine that I want to open. Hey, Turtle Gum. Might have some New Year's stories in here. I was trying also, that's what took me a while because I had to find this. And it turns out it was right in this box with the other magazines. And I wanted to have my board, that I ordered. A felt board, which I've always wanted since I was a little kid. And I didn't have time. I didn't think of it in time to get it done. I wanted to have Thursday, December 30th. See, I'm just now trying to stick this on here. December, that's all I got off of here so far. And then you have to stick these in the holes. I'll be more set up next time, hopefully. Okay, Dorothy, thank you for stopping by. Carolyn's live right now, and I didn't know that, We both had it scheduled at the same time, but she said hers was set to private, so she didn't realize it. So that's how I didn't know, but see how cute? Felt board. Hi, Earthbound. Sherry Shirley, Tick Turtle Gum, Kim D. Moo. Yeah, when I get done with this, I will fix it up, Purdy. Excited. Okay, Moo's here. Hi, Video Reel. Your lazy family. Hi, Linda Gelb. Carolyn knows, so I called her. It is fun watching things be sold. I gotta say that. She doesn't think I'm ever gonna sell anything, but I plan on it. I really do. So I'm just gonna read. You guys can go to Carolyn's, and you can always come back here and listen when it's over. Hit play if you're wanting to listen. You're in both. Okay. Let's see what we got here. I don't want to read about Valentine's yet. That's too early. Oh, Moo, remember you said you like Charles chips? You ordered that tin of them? Here's a little thing right here. Let's see what this is. This is exciting. See, everyone, where else can you come? Hi, Kubi. Did you see I just was doing the felt board? I was trying to have it done and I ran out of time. You're in both also. But look, a brand new, shiny magazine. Okay. different devices. We got 3 people here and 11 likes, so that's good. Moo, you're still here, I hope, because I want you to see this. I just saw it. Where'd it go? It was just here, Charles Chips, and it had a picture of them. Oh, here you go. Okay, here's the Charles Chips, guys. And who? Anybody else come in? Yes, Kobe, I love it. I had to have it. It is Rummy Royal and Charles Chips. Is Carolyn selling anything yet? I'll read this. I'll read this for anyone. The shells. This is Rummy Royal and Charles's Chips. The Friday night tradition offered her a privileged position. It's Friday night, and Mr. Daly is dressed in a bolo tie and has a pocket full of pennies. Hi, Bunny darling. It must be family game night. It's time to put on our poker faces. The Dalys, Jim and Betty, lived down the street from us in Tulsa, Oklahoma, back in the 1960s. As luck would have it, they had 3 boys and 2 older boys. Jimmy and David were my brother's ages. Then there was me, the oldest, and Tommy, the youngest of the crew. Not yet? Okay. We did all sorts of fun stuff together, like Cub Scouts. I guess I was the original girl in the Cub Scouts. What can I say? It was fun. Mr. Daly was the pack leader. That means he was in charge of the monthly meeting. He had to keep several hundred kids entertained while getting out pertinent Cub Scout information. It was no easy task, but somehow he did it. One thing I remember him doing involved throwing a golf ball in the air. As long as the ball was in the air, all the kids could yell their heads off. Absolutely brilliant. The tactic worked beautifully. After this, the pack paid attention. Now let's get to the Charles's Chips. What in the heck? Or do they not mean, I guess they don't mean the potato chip. In addition, Mrs. Daly was the boys' den leader. She made some awesome snacks like brownies and chocolate chip cookies. Besides the Cub Scouts, the boys played baseball together. Tommy and I and our folks were dutiful fans. It was during these joint encounters that our families really got to know each other, and so family game night was soon established. It normally took place on a Friday. The boys typically played outside, and I stationed myself in a chair near the game table. Heck, I was at least a whole year older than the rest of the kids, which garnered me a privileged position. That's what I thought anyway. Meanwhile, the grown-ups got down to the serious business of playing cards. Their favorite game was called Rummy Royal. Rummy Royal was a card game played on a green mat that displayed different cards and hands you could play. Since they were such big spenders, pennies replaced poker chips as the wager of choice. However, this was serious business. Just how serious, you ask? Well, Mr. Daly wore his bolo tie, which is basically a cord with a metal clasp, apparently in an attempt to intimidate the other players. It was assigned to those sitting at, here's their picture. What happened? That's so heartbreaking. Oh, everyone getting sick. When US Highway 2, or wait, don't mess with me, he said at the table. I'm in it to win it, a la Clint Eastwood. Of course, such intense. Oh, it is Charles's chips. Of course, such intense brain work required snacks for sustenance. Charles's chips, brand potato chips, were the perfect carb load for such an evening. In fact, the first time I had Charles's chips was during family game night. What a discovery! So fresh, salty, and crunchy. The perfect snack for the gamers. Makes me want some. I've never had them. It was love at first bite. Mom and Dad were hooked too. So home delivery of the brown speckled tin filled with crunchy goodness soon followed. I remember eagerly awaiting the white truck with the brown Charles's Chips sign on it. Sadly, we eventually moved and family game nights came to an end, but I still remember those good times and those yummy chips. Yeah, Earthbound. I was messaging with her last night in Slack. She was telling me about it. Yeah, she said her husband has it. The kids are sick. She's not feeling well. She doesn't think she has it, but now we're going to. This is one of the Reminisce. They have a little bit shorter stories, and it's a January issue. You have it too, Nicole? Nicole, that's right. Really, video reel? 24 to 48 hours? How did I miss that? I was over there. They must have said that just after I left. This one is a picture. It just says, "Does anyone remember?" And you could order a print of this picture if you'd like. That's okay, Moo. I know they have them here at the Cracker Barrel. I can always get them there. Oh, Nicole, I don't want to get it. I'm a big baby with body aches and all that. I won't get up out of bed. And I don't have good lungs anymore. This one is, "Does anyone remember?" Ken Holt Mysteries. Does anyone remember when Sears sold cycles? This motorcycle below was an Atlas model sold by Sears. It belonged to my father, Fred Vones, seen at age 35 in Somerville, New Jersey, before he was married. By the looks of the seat and tires, I'll bet the Atlas was a hard ride, but my father could repair everything on it himself. He was a carpenter and very handy. He and my mother, Isabel Bennett Vones, had nine children, and my other older brother, Jim, was still riding his motorcycle at age 81. I stopped riding them when I turned 78. As the roads where I live are loaded with cars and big trucks all day long, making it difficult to ride for pleasure. My son Jeff's newer motorcycle is much different in looks, design, and mechanical work. Yet it's the basic two wheels, motor, and seat that his grandfather rode. From Frank Vones, Bridgewater, New Jersey. Hey, Brent. Carolyn's live too. Let's see. Let's see here. When TV was new. Mixing signals. My father brought home our first television set around 1955. We picked up one snowy station from Binghamton, New York, which was about 50 miles south. Isn't that what Carolyn mentions a lot, going shopping, Binghamton? In our 1800s house, you could open iron floor grates to get heat upstairs. Opening the grate in the front bedroom allowed you to observe the living room below where the TV sat. I got hold of about 20 feet of leftover TV wire and hooked it up to the speaker connections on my Philco radio in the upstairs bedroom. I then ran it out to the bedroom window and down the living room window, hooking it to the TV speaker. When Dad came in to watch the evening news, I turned up the volume on the radio, and the radio sounds came out of the TV. When Dad got up and adjusted the TV, I turned down the volume on the radio so the TV would be magically fixed. This happened 3 times before I got to laughing so hard upstairs that Dad finally figured out something was up. He checked behind the TV, found the wire, and removed it as he mumbled that the blasted kids were going to ruin the TV. Dad was a man of few words, but that prank got more than a few words out of him. From Ken Cook, Gillette, Pennsylvania. Model with connections. In St. Louis, around 1938, my sister Mary and I had 2 favorite models, Elise Knox and Georgia Carroll. We cut their pictures out of the newspaper and put them above our twin beds. This one, left, painted by my favorite artist, John Whitcomb, shows Miss Knox, who later had a number of TV connections. She married Tom Harmon, the famous football player, and their son is Mark Harmon of NCIS. Their daughter married Ricky Nelson, the son of Ozzie and Harriet Nelson. Miss Carroll went on to perform in movies and married orchestra leader Kay Kaiser, famous for his College of Musical Knowledge. That was all 7 decades ago, but it seemed like yesterday. From Francis Dorr, Afton, Missouri. This is that picture again in case anybody missed it. And now here's Mommy. I was invited to share my enchilada recipe on the Monty Margaret cooking show on KFI TV in Los Angeles in 1949. I was asked to make the enchiladas at home and bring them to the show. I had a 5-year-old son in kindergarten and a 3-year-old daughter, Patricia, at home. My neighbor, Cecily, offered to babysit Patricia while I was on the show. It was an amazing experience to be in a real TV studio, especially because everything was broadcast live in those days. Monty Margaret had invited 2 other ladies to bring their enchiladas, and we 3 sat around a table with Monty to sample each contribution. Each of us had time to speak about how we learned our particular recipe. Cecily turned on her TV at home to watch the show. Patricia was playing with toys on the floor, and when my turn came to talk, Patricia got up and ran around behind the TV table, calling out excitedly, "Mommy, Mommy," as she looked for me. Cecily had a hard time explaining to her that Mommy wasn't really there. From Florence Mason, Thousand Oaks, California. Kristen Harmon. I remember that name, Lisa. Yeah. I do remember that. Her name. Family had quiz quality. My family lived in New York City's theater and TV district in the 1940s and 50s. My mom would turn on her favorite quiz show and study the questions. She'd look up the names of presidents and capital cities and study geography books to learn about foreign countries. Send for free tickets, the announcers said. So Mom got into several quiz shows at theaters in our neighborhood. She won many prizes and hit the jackpot 3 times, a second honeymoon with all the amenities, a grand slam on a food show that won our family a giant salami, and a deluxe treatment at a spa. Mom won clothing, a stove, a vacation, dancing lessons, and jewelry. She got me interested in it too, and I won several prizes on a show called Give and Take. When my sister was 6 years old, she won a puppy and a year's supply of dog food. Boy, you wouldn't do that nowadays, would you? Win a puppy on a TV show? Unless you were all checked out and all that, verified. We called the beautiful red Cocker Spaniel Pancake after his long drooping ears. I thought he should have a middle name. So we used his mother's name, Song Without Words. Of course, we gave him our last name, Jones. One day after school, Mom said to me, "Quick, grab the dog and go around the corner to the Lincoln Theater. They're looking for an interesting dog to meet Morgan, a famous star dog." When I arrived, an interviewer spoke to the many people with dogs in the waiting room. When she got to me, I told her about my sister winning the dog on a quiz show. When she asked for the dog's name, I told her, Pancake, Song Without Words, Jones. That did it. Pancake, however, did not like Morgan the Basset Hound, and the feeling was mutual. Fortunately, though, there was no fight. Mom had notified all the neighbors that I was to be on the show, so I returned home to cheers and clapping. Mom was sure I'd been chosen. Lorraine Richards, Havertown, Pennsylvania. And then Repairman Heard It All. This one's out of Zephyr Hills, Florida, Moo. That's where my parents had their little RV when the last few years. In the mid-1950s, I started a TV sales and service business in Calais, Maine. Early on, I was called to an elderly couple's home to correct a snowy pitcher. I plugged a new vacuum tube into the chassis of the TV and stepped in front of the set to see if the pitcher was any better. While I stood there, the man of the house pointed at the TV and asked me, "Can they see us?" I said no and explained about a studio with its cameras and so on. "I didn't think so," he said, pointing at the TV again. "But see that man right there? He looked directly at you and laughed." From Gordon Lord, Zephyr Hills, Florida. And here's an ad, and now a word from 1956. You have to see it to believe it. Flashmatic tuning by Zenith. Only Zenith has it. A flash of magic light from across the room. No wires, no cords. Turns set on, off, or changes channels. And you remain in your easy chair. How in the heck is this possible in 1956? Now look, guys. And shows this little gadget that they hold. You press a button and this light shoots across and turns the TV on and changes the channel. It says you can also shut off long, annoying commercials while picture remains on screen. Here's a truly amazing new television development, and only Zenith has it. Just think, without budging from your easy chair, you can turn your new Zenith Flashmatic set on, off, or change channels. You can even shut off annoying commercials while the picture remains on the screen. Just a flash of light does it. There are no wires or cords. This is not an accessory. It is a built-in part of several new 1956 Zenith television receivers. Stop at your Zenith dealer soon. Zenith quality television begins as low as $149.95. And it's a 21-inch Flashmatic tuning Cinebeam blonde grained finish cabinet on coasters, also in mahogany color, as low as $399.95. Look at what it looked like. Has anybody ever heard of that? I've never heard of that. That's the year I would have turned 1 that year. Kind of cool. Moo, did you ever hear of that? I know you came from like a fancy area, a rich person's house. Right? Crime scene cleaner. I think it's kind of cool. I've never heard of it. Hi, Tracy Thomas. I didn't see you. See if anybody else came in. And okay, Nicole. Okay. Ever heard of it, Lisa? You've heard of a lot of these things. Ma got run over by a Studebaker. Dad's frustration with a snowbound car led to a blind spot. You have, Lisa? Wow. Hi, Lori Colley. Thank you for dropping in. This is from 1947 from Ed Fusco, Andover, New Jersey. There's a car like the one that got stuck, I guess. Oh, that's right, Lisa. Yeah, so you would have seen it. A big blizzard hit our area, and a few days later, the streets of Bronx, New York had still not been completely cleared of the giant drifts of snow. One morning, while the streets were still bad, my father put on his overcoat and got ready to drive to his print shop in Midtown Manhattan. Looking out the window at the wind-blown snow and gray scudding clouds, my mother asked him if he really intended to drive to work. Sure, no problem, he said, as he put on his Dick Tracy-style hat. As my mother and sister watched from the windows, Dad made it down the icy steps. Then he slipped and slid the 20 or so feet to the garage, looking rather like a person who had just had a bit too much to drink. He stood puffing like a steam locomotive before he managed to open the garage doors. Then he slid behind the steering wheel of our Studebaker President and put the key in the ignition. The engine roared to life, and he sat back to let the car warm up. He started to back out, but when the Studebaker was almost out of the garage, the wheels lost traction, and the car stopped in a drift. When Dad felt it stop, he went into his routine of first gear to second and back to reverse, hoping to break free. Dad was never the kind of guy to get out of a stuck car and put muscle to it to get it moving. He just sat there shifting gears. My mom, who was watching all this from a window, finally decided it was time to swing into action. She put on a heavy winter coat and scarf, then went down into the cellar and grabbed a big coal shovel. Armed with her weapon, Mom hurried out the back door to help Dad free the car from winter's icy grip. Going around to the back of the car, she dug furiously as the wheels spun forward, then backward. Suddenly, the Studebaker rocketed backward, pinning Mom underneath and dragging her 75 feet onto Colden Avenue. Since I don't understand your language, you have to speak English. Can you speak English? Can you go on, Mittens? My sister, who saw everything from inside the house, screamed and banged her head on the window, but Dad never saw her. A neighbor who was shoveling his sidewalk also saw it all, ran around to the driver's side of the car and motioned Dad to stop. Other neighbors came to the rescue and helped to pull Mom from below the car. Miraculously, she wasn't badly hurt, although she did suffer some cuts and bruises from the undercarriage. Dad was nearly in shock when he heard what he had done and had to be helped from the car. A few minutes later, my father was back in the house, limp as a dish rag and slumped over in his chair. Mom, as chipper as ever, ran to the liquor cabinet and poured a glass of Dad's favorite high-octane beverage. After Dad began to regain his composure, Mom asked him if he was okay. He replied, yeah, I'm okay, but how did you get in back of the car? My mother naturally assumed he saw her as she walked past him. He did not. One thing was sure, though. Mom was one tough lady. If she and a Studebaker ever met head on, it would definitely be a draw. Hey, Karen H. Hi, Sarah. Yes, QB. Are you guys bored? I'm wondering what Carolyn's selling. Has she started selling anything yet, or anybody? I like the headband. Thanks. Oh, I got to show you guys something. Everybody close your eyes. Don't look, okay? Do not look until I tell you to. Promise? Promise. Okay. Nobody look. Some of you might know what this means when I put these on, okay? Okay, you can look. Anybody know what this means? Anybody know what this means? Hi, Bridget. Hi, Lisa. No, they're not virtual. No. Earthbound. No, crime scene. They're one of those gag things. You don't know, Karen? Does anybody know? If not, I'll tell you guys. In fact, I can show you. I'll show you. Hold on. I can't find it now. Dang it. Unless this is it. Oh, yes, it is. It is. It is. It is. That's NewsTubers Live when they made that a video about me. And they had me wearing the whole time. I was just like that as they talked. Oh, there's a burnt hot dog. She's the one that got these for me. See, it's these funny people here, these funny ladies, and I use that term loosely. Isn't that funny though? I like these NewsTubers. Thank you. Thank you for the thought. So we've been here 36 minutes. I told Carolyn I'll do this about an hour and then I'll come over. Oh, those. She bugs me. You know that, Bridget. They are something, guys. Please just don't get me started. This is story time. I'm the one that started it. Sorry. But I had to show. Yeah. I didn't know she was going live. She had it set, but she said she had it set on private and didn't realize it. But we're going to go for an hour anyway. Here's some pictures from the past. Oh, no bikini, Lori. Oh, heaven forbid. No freaking way. You kidding? They don't even make them that big enough. The old days. Find another couple stories. How I met my spouse. They have two little things here. A couple of little stories about how I met my spouse. This magazine, by the way, is from 2011. Assembling a bet and a date. The middle girl on this assembly line above, stargazing at the Navy men in 1943 or 45 or 44, is now my wife of 64 years. At the time, I was a stock boy at this factory, Mesner Manufacturing Company in Mount Carmel, Illinois, which made radios for World War II planes. One fellow, darn it, thank you. One fellow stalker, a tall, slender blonde man who wore his shirt open to show his hairy chest, boasted that he'd dated several of the girls in the factory, except this certain girl had always said no. I spoke up and bet him a Coke that I could get a date with her. Well, I won the bet, and we dated steadily. I met her parents and 4 sisters. She was the middle one in the family, like me. When I was drafted into the Navy, right, they have a picture, I asked her to wear my ring, and she said yes. My Navy hitch ended when I contracted rheumatic fever making my final salute to the destroyer USS Swanson from a wire basket lowered from the ship. Excuse me. We were finally married November 17th, 1946. If any men recognize themselves in the picture, drop us a line at 11843 Sugar Creek Avenue, Mount Carmel, Illinois. From Malcolm Reeves, Mount Carmel, Illinois. Here's the lady in the middle that he married, the girl in the middle, talking to him. Hi, Kathy, with a C. Kathy, when I'm in Carolyn's and I'm chatting with voice to text, it always comes up with a K for your name, just to let you know. It started coming up with a C and then it corrects itself to a K. I don't know why. Excuse me. Farm girl meets city boy. I was a Pennsylvania farm girl and he was a New York City boy. I was 12 and he was 13 when we met. Donald F. Washington had two families, one in New York that raised him and his biological parents in Pennsylvania who could not afford to raise another child. His parents and my parents were friends. One day, when Donald's parents came to visit, they had a handsome boy with them, and I wondered who he was. They had never mentioned anything to us about having a son who lived in New York. We got along so well that when he went back to New York in the fall, I eagerly awaited a letter from him. Sure enough, one arrived soon after he left. We wrote to each other from that time on. Donald enlisted in the Army Air Force right after high school, and we continued to correspond while he was stationed in San Antonio, Texas, and then later in Japan. After his discharge, we were married September 19th, 1953, and we celebrated our 57th anniversary last year from Edvina, Washington, Riverview, Florida. Here's a picture of them. Wonder if they're still living. This was 2011. I'd say there's a good chance, right? At least one of them, probably. Let's see. Here we go. Going up against Old Man Winter. Around my parents' 50th anniversary, my mother wrote this story about her 1933 Christmas wedding and honeymoon. Mother continued to teach school, and Dad was a farmer and local politician. My social, civic-minded parents lived their entire lives in St. John's, Michigan, where I still make my home, from Nancy Myers. And here's like 3 pictures. Love in pictures. Sweethearts, Almond, and Dorothy in 1933 left on their wedding day. Above and below on their 60th, above and on their 60th anniversary below. Yep, here's the lovely couple here and here. And here on their anniversary. Now this was 10 years ago. Almost 11 years ago. Yeah, they wouldn't be alive by now, would they? Probably not. get married in 1933. I don't think they can still, I don't know. This is from Dorothy Beck Cressman. My on-again, off-again romance with high school classmate Almond Cressman in St. John's, Michigan, had just endured another breakup in 1933. Boy, he's a handsome man. I just noticed that. Almond told his friends that if we ever got back together again, he'd marry me before I had a chance to change my mind. We did make up, and he popped the question. By then, I was teaching in a country school for $40 a month with 1 week's vacation over the holiday break. So we decided to get married on Christmas Day. The Reverend Earl Collins married us in a 5 p.m. ceremony at the home of my parents, Frank and Edna Beck. My mother and aunts prepared a nice dinner for about 40 relatives. I still recall the goose down pillows from Grandma and Grandpa Crom, the quilt from Aunt Opal, and the feather bed and set of dishes for my folks. The next morning, after many goodbyes and lots of last-minute advice, we headed out on our honeymoon trip to Niagara Falls. Almond always prided himself on keeping his 1928 four-door sedan with no heater in good running condition, so he was embarrassed to have to walk to a friend's farmhouse after we ran out of gas 5 miles from home. We got as far as Lapeer, Michigan, where we were fortunate to find a garage to park the car overnight. December had been a frigid month with lots of snow and below zero temperatures. The next morning, we went over the Blue Water Bridge into Canada. About 100 miles later, a bus crowded us off the road into an abutment. The right side of our front axle was broken, but we were able to drive to a blacksmith shop. When the man found out we were honeymooners, he agreed to help us immediately and had us merrily on our way in a few hours. Upon arriving at our hotel in Buffalo, we discovered our room had twin beds. We finally made it to Niagara Falls and saw it all frosted over by day and lit up by night. Very beautiful. We had to start for home the next morning, but awoke to a sleet storm. Almond couldn't see out the icy windshield, so I held a candle to provide a peephole. The candle didn't do much apart from dripping wax on the new car robe I had gotten Almond as a Christmas gift. Later at lunch, someone suggested rubbing an onion on the windshield, but that didn't work well either. At another stop, someone else proposed propping up the hood with a corn cob to heat the windshield, and that did work. We were a bit late getting to Detroit, but we made our dinner show. Arriving back in St. John's, we found Almond's mother and aunt and some neighbor ladies baking chocolate cakes for our reception at the Olive Grange Hall that night. We unpacked our gifts Sunday, and I was back to teaching school on Monday. All in all, it was quite an eventful and memorable week. Hi, Kristen Vita Sib. This one is called Out of Her Element. New teacher, the author at this one-room schoolhouse where she taught 4 grades in 1951 and 52. Here she is. Mittens, please, girl. Please, baby. Come on now, and Garnet's behind the laptop. Lex, would you give them that other can of food here? That's why they won't leave. Garnet, please, Mittens. How many cans of food do you guys feed your cats? I made the mistake of starting to give them canned food again. It's right here, Lex.
I know. Go in there one.
And they're nuts. They want one day, a couple days ago, you ended up 5 cans for the whole day because they won't shut up. They won't leave us alone. Look at Garnet. Oh my gosh. She's running. She's flying in there. Mittens is sitting here watching Lexi. Oh, and there she goes.
Come here, girl.
They act like they're starving. It's ridiculous. Okay. My dad was a principal and teacher at several small town schools in northern Mississippi, and I knew that this life was not for me. So, how was it that I found myself facing a room of 26 curious little faces in a one-room schoolhouse on, of all places, the Kansas prairie? If you didn't finish that, I'll give it to the dogs later. Let's see. You still have some steak there. Okay, just put it on the counter. When Dad sold the old home place in Oxford, Mississippi, he decided he'd like to move to Kansas to be near his brother and to try his hand at wheat farming. Being unaware of the harsh climate, I thought that sounded intriguing. It was 1951. I had just finished college, and I decided to move to Kansas with my parents. After we settled in on the farm, I tried to find work in the closest city, but no one seemed too impressed by my skills in fashion design or my interest in media. When the trustees of the local school in the little village nearby approached me about a teaching position, I realized it was that or nothing. It didn't seem to concern them that I knew nothing about elementary education. That was how I found myself teaching 1st through 4th grades in a one-room schoolhouse. It did boast a basement with a big furnace and a closet-sized library, but indoor toilets, forget it. That led to my first challenge. When a child raised his or her hand and asked to be excused, how could I refuse? Only when the principal asked if I knew a party was being held out back in the boys' toilet did I realize I was being taken. After that one and only one student was allowed to go to the toilet at a time. The student, sensing my lack of teacher know-how, was that them, Lexi? I just heard something. Nothing, never mind. I heard something fall. The students, sensing my lack of teacher know-how, were ingenious at taking advantage of me. I seemed to go home with a headache every day. Soon, though, one very mature 9-year-old girl came to my rescue. When a situation arose that I obviously didn't know how to handle, Jane came to my desk and whispered in my ear, "Last year, the teacher did," and then she explained what to do. For example, the previous teacher let 4th graders help 1st and 2nd graders with assignments. Oh, that's Lexi. Okay. While she taught 3rd graders and so on. After that, I read books on elementary education and I started to exercise discipline. In a few months, I was no longer facing a room full of little monsters. Each student became special to me. Sweet little notes
from Amazon.
This is yours, I believe. In just a few months, I was no longer facing a room full of little monsters. Each student became special to me. Sweet little notes and handmade gifts began to appear on my desk. Not that they let me forget I was from the South and talked different. At a parent-teacher meeting, I remember being playfully chided by one mother because her child had come home and told her, Miss Ashmore says quarter for quarter. I'm sure I did, but quarter, that's probably what it was. I'm sure I did, but I learned Midwestern speech as well. A creek was a crick, and a cold drink was a soda. Oh, and about that climate on the Kansas prairie, the wind swept across the plains and whistled plaintively under our front door. A neighbor remarked that she had seen the valley between her house and ours, about a half mile apart, level out with snow. That seemed hard to believe, but a few weeks later it happened. It began to snow that morning, and by the middle of the day, parents had collected their children, and the classroom was empty. I dallied, spending time grading papers, and only realized my mistake when I got in my car. A full-fledged blizzard was underway. When I turned off the state highway onto the local road to our farm, the car plowed into a drift and could go no farther. I got out and began to walk. With the wind and snow stinging my eyes, I could barely see. I was almost a mile to our house, and I had to stop every few minutes to empty my boots and catch my breath. I know if I didn't keep moving, I'd die. Eventually, I stumbled half frozen into the front door of our home. I decided then and there that this southern girl would not be caught in Kansas for another winter. The spring brought a flood, and a tornado that all came too close to our place. At that point, my mother and I persuaded Dad to sell the wheat farm and move back to our beloved South. Considering my inauspicious beginning, perhaps one of my greatest accomplishments was being reelected to my teaching position in that one-room schoolhouse. It wasn't the job that defeated me. I had come to love all my students. It was the weather that did it. I was simply out of my element. And here's a picture of her the last day of school in Piper, Kansas in spring of 1952. So here she is with her kids, and then here she is when she wrote this story 10 years ago. Hi, Robin Lane. And there she is right there. How long? Almost an hour. I'll read another story right and then. We have cars here to name. Here you go. Catalog shopping, Sears, 1965. Wait. Robin Lane. Lane. Oh, and we have a sexy man on this page with his slim, tapered, fine cotton dress shirt for $377. You can tell he's feeling himself. He's like, I am a model. Oh, Lord. Doesn't he though? He's feeling it. Oh, wow. Polio. We were just talking about, no, we weren't just talking about that. I just got chased out of a Somerville's chat for suspicion of being that Robin Lane. You know what? Yes. MGL had put your name in the title once, didn't she? And spelled it like you do. But we knew it wasn't you. You're talking about Granny's watching, probably. Because I know she's doing a debate on that right now. Yeah, we'll have to tell her. Who is that Robin Lane anyway that they're so suspicious about or whatever? I don't even know the story. What do you mean she doxed you? She did? For real? MGO? Or Granny's watching? The Sunday school teacher. The Sabbath school teacher. I don't know who the... Oh, the Sunday school teacher is Robin Lane. Okay, gotcha. MGL in her title. Yeah, she put your name. She didn't... I mean, because that's not really doxing you because, you know, your name is... That's what you use. Okay, yeah. I figured you were. We'll have to let Granny's watching know, though. You're not being... Oh, okay. I didn't see your middle name. Sherry Shirley says, what does that mean? That means that they gave out information that isn't readily available on the internet about you. Oh, this is Polio here. A busy mom, Frances McCoy, poses in 1952 with her brood, clockwise from lower left, Joe, age 2, Sherry, 13, with baby Patrick, John, 6, and the author of the story, 4. It says handy, not handicapped. Mom found solutions instead of excuses in the aftermath of polio by Roberta Mershon, Rio Rancho, New Mexico. I may start going by my real first and last name now. You know what? I was thinking of doing that myself. I'll have to wait until these haters, you know, like newstubers, if they had my full name right now, you never know what those people would do, right? Here's the mother, though. And you know what? You want to know something? I started to watch last night one of my old black and white movies that is about a lady who had polio. And I believe it's a true story. And let me tell you guys what it is, just in case any of you want to watch it. And they were really, really talking, you know, a lot about it in the comments, how it was so good. Let's see if I can find it really quick, okay? Because I like to watch the old movies when Carolyn goes off, or, you know, like if I'm not there, a lot of times I'm watching these old movies with Dave. Let's see. I want to find it real quick. And I'm finding so many good ones that I've never seen before. And the people in the comments are raving about them too, saying they've never seen anything like. They've never seen some of these movies. Other ones are saying, oh, they're my favorite. I wonder if it's One was super good, I thought, and it kind of relates so much to today, called Hot Spell. The guy's channel is Chris Johnson. It's got Shirley Booth from Hazel in it. It has Shirley MacLaine as a very young woman. I think it's this right here, guys, The Young Lovers. Let me see. Yes, this is a true story. It was photographed where it happened. Our grateful thanks to the many who made this motion picture possible. It's called Sally Forrest. It's from 1950, and it's from Pizza Flicks. I've been subscribed to them for quite a while, a long time. They have great old movies. And yeah, she is the one. Yeah, somebody says, I remember polio. I was in elementary school when the vaccine came out. I had a classmate who came down with it. This movie brought tears to my eyes. Another one. Wow, that was an amazing film. Thank you so much for uploading it. I mean, just has rave reviews on here. Just in case anybody is interested. I know Lisa H. loves the old movies. Misplaced Mama, you love them too? They seem to, they were, Shirley. They're awful people, Sherry, for real. They really are. I would say they're the shadiest people on YouTube, in my opinion, that I know of. Let's just say that I know of. I believe they're the shadiest, even more so than Neck, even more so than Natasha. I do. I really do. There's something with those people. I'm telling you, something is up with those people. Okay, we'll read this and then we'll be done. Our mother was one of a kind. She had 6 children and was confined to a wheelchair, but there was no job she would refuse to tackle from that 2-wheeled conveyance. Given that she was only 18 years old and already the mother of a toddler when she was stricken with polio, I marvel that she did not become bitter and helpless. Shelley Ellis. They are. I don't have those anymore, Shelley Ellis. They switched everything around. They want us to pay now. You know how they do that? Some might have become bitter and helpless, but not Frances Mercedes McCowan, later Mrs. Jack McCoy. She not only emerged from an iron lung that doctors felt she would be confined to all of her life, but she challenged her nurses and therapists to push her harder. During her months at a Warm Springs, Georgia rehabilitation facility for polio patients of the Tinker, stop. You already had your treat. Knock it off. The 3 dogs in there. Tinker's the only one wanting something right now. Mom built the kind of character that helped her meet challenges and live life to the fullest. As a homemaker in Torrance, California, during the 1950s, Mom was always designing things to help her accomplish those everyday endeavors most take for granted, such as cooking, cleaning, and laundry. Back in those days, women still canned foods, and sewed and ironed their family's clothes. Mom was no exception. She had my dad build her a fold-out ironing board she could wheel herself right up to when it was set at the right height. In later years, she had a stovetop designed the same way. If there was a way to overcome an obstacle, Mom would find it or invent it herself. She was the handiest woman I ever knew. Her creativity did not end with household tasks, but extended into the training and disciplining of her children. We were told what was expected of us, and we knew that we could not outrun her to avoid the consequences of our disobedience. Mom would get the broom, prop it on the footboard of her wheelchair, and give herself a few pushes in the offender's direction. She would then let go and grab the broom, aim it carefully at the tush, and whop. We had a serious reminder that she was in charge. Most of the time, though, her loving entreaties to do something were enough for us. We had a lot of good times camping and going sightseeing. Mom loved roughing it, and she cooked great outdoor meals. Although she was confined to the immediate camping area, she was always taking pictures and encouraging us to use our imagination as we played. The smile on her face told us that she loved watching us enjoy the things she could not do. The training she gave me as a legacy I have passed on to my own children: to work hard, share with others, and always be grateful for what you have. Mother passed away just before her 50th birthday. Oh, that's sad. So young. So we didn't get to share with her the effects that her love would have on our adult lives. I know that she would be proud that her 6 children taught their own children what it means to overcome adversities. What greater love can a mother give her children than to set such a fine example? Here we go again. What you see? Iron lung, yes. Well, this was from 2011, Robin, this magazine. It was during the 1950s that her mom, I guess, caught it. High shift happens. Hi, Casey Rex. Well, we have a few more people in here, so I'll stay a little bit longer. Okay. Here's some girls, the music, to raise money for an ambulance. They use the old song and dance. High school girls. Back in the day. Casey Rex, really? How do you know nobody can see you? I'll try to remember to ask Carolyn if she can look on her list. I don't know why you would. Yeah, Burnt Hot Dog said she'll check. Here's a too busy for a hat. This is my 15-month-old daughter, Sylvia Dawn Davis, now Sylvia Harmon, playing in the snow that had fallen on the tiny village of Wright, Minnesota in January 1949, writes Phyllis Davis of Myerstown, Pennsylvania. My husband, Paul, was the pastor at a small church there. A few weeks later, Sylvia was aboard a freighter en route to Thailand, where her father and I served as missionaries for many years. Sylvia is now a grandmother and a missionary herself in Paraguay after serving in the Philippines for a number of years. Yeah, as long as you don't remember saying anything, mean or anything like that. I know what am I doing? There we go. I don't think I've seen you saying anything. Let's see. Got a bunch of pictures from the past. Lisa H., do you know why Casey Rex would be blocked? Oh, look at this. One pig, open sleigh. My mother's three brothers, Frank, Tony, and John Kulinek, are pictured in 1916 with their special snowmobile for winter fun on the family farmstead outside of Chesaning, Michigan, relates Patricia Bannock of Dimmondale. Their transportation got 27 miles to a gallon of garbage. And then here's a sledding dog. My wife Giselle is 3 years old in this 1934 picture, showing her riding with her brother Larry and her mother, explains Robert Kawat of South Elgin, Illinois. Dog sleds were the winter mode of transportation in northern Ontario back then, and women wore fur coats for warmth, not just style. Cars were jacked up and the batteries taken inside until spring. And then the shop on the bottom is a one-stop shop in Hull, Ohio. And it's the owners, Bertie Renz and Mrs. Scott Leonard, Mr. and Mrs. Leonard. From 1939. But look at the pig. Well, yeah, they're pig, you know, the pig eats garbage. I think she was kind of joking. And then, of course, the dog sled, and then the one-stop shop. Hi, easily distracted. That is one freaking big pig, though, isn't it? Thing is huge. We'll go an hour and a half, so we're at 1:17. And here's Take Your Medicine. This photo of my mother-in-law, Iva Marcita Donlinger, was taken in 1917 or 18 when Marty was 7 or 8, says Julia of Fairmount, Minnesota. Her parents, Matt and Rose, owned several hotels in southern Minnesota and Iowa. And then a long coat for the lawman. I love the uniform my grandfather, John D. McCraw, is wearing in this picture taken, I think, in the mid-1920s. It reminds me of the Keystone Cops, writes Tal Martin of Richmond, Virginia. Grandpa was a policeman in Lynchburg. Note the pharmacy's displays for Warner's Safe Medicines. And then the bottom picture, the Lewis Girls of New England are pictured in the early 1900s. They are front to left Bess, Ethel, Ada, Maud, Frances, Mira, May, and Mildred. Their older brother Sam was kept busy as an escort for the girls when needed at local dances, relates Rima Bruce of Rancho Santa Margarita, California. 3 of these ladies lived to the ages of 102, 105, and 108. Ada, my mother, lived to be 87. Wow, that's some genes there. That is some pig, isn't it? Here's the little girl. Lexi, you wouldn't mind giving them a can of food, would you? I know that's why Tinker's barking. And then there's those ladies, the sisters. Can you believe that? 108, 104, 102. Is it right next to you, easily distracted? Calling on the party line. Phone, sweet phone. This is my grandmother, Annie Basham Keys, above. At the switchboard she operated for 29 years at her home in Breckenridge County, Kentucky, writes Mary Nelson of West Lafayette, Indiana. Oh my gosh, that's where Dave had a surgery. I don't know how many people she had on the lines that came into her house, but several people shared the same line. Each household had a different ring, such as 2 longs and a short, or 1 short and a long. Each household knew its ring, but everyone else on the line did as well. Look at this. That was right in her house where she ran the party line. Hi, Tracy Claus. Tinker, Lexi will give you some food. Hold on.
Oh.
Lexi. Hot and cold exchange. Rummy Royal. I've never played that. I played Rummy. Hey, says Littlefoot. About time you showed up, girl. What do you mean? Where do you find your search, Tracy? There's burnt hot dog, sis. Your search. Where do I find my search? You know what I mean.
Your search?
Oh, do you mean about what Carolyn mentioned last night? There's Shelly, says Littlefoot.
Hey.
Anna, you're not seeing double. Oh, Tracy. Gosh. I don't remember where. I won't say it. Oh, that's cute, Maritza Robles. I can't remember what videos it would be. I'll have to ask Carolyn, okay? Everybody thinks that on here, but Anna, but in real life, we really don't, just because of our hair and glasses. There's Moo. Hot and cold exchange. In 1938, our family was rather lucky. Only 4 parties were on our line in Port Jervis, New York. It was a quiet city and everyone knew each other, so you wouldn't think of hurting anyone's feelings. Included in our 4-party line were 2 elderly women. Shelley, do you know about that? Having a party line where you pick up your phone and you have to see if somebody else is already on there talking and you have to keep waiting for them to get done before you can make a call. That's how our first phone was, Shell. At our parents' when I was a kid. I was probably, I think from ages 12 to I'm not sure what. We had this party line. We probably had it before then too, but I remember it about age 12. And I would get on there and listen to people talking. I would get yelled at by this one lady I knew that she lived up in that trailer park behind us. And she would always yell, I know somebody's on here, get off. And I'd hurry up and hang it up. Oh, a lot of people listened in, Scott. A lot of people, right? Anybody else ever have one when you were growing up and sneak in and listen to people talking? You knew you could call, I think, if you just picked it up and there must have just been a dial tone. Other times you'd pick it up and people were yakking away to each other. Yeah, I did. That's another story. Landline. Yes, Anna. Okay, I'll read this. Included in our four-party line were two elderly women. Sis Littlefoot, say hi to Moo. She said hello to you, and she even called you sweet and everything. She might have left already, Moo, because I know she would have said hi. She would have said something. It is Casey Rex, you're right. It really is. Except people, we know that people are listening. Yes, you had to pick up the phone to make sure someone wasn't using it. Yes. Yep. Yep. Got to get rid of this. Oh, Moose, she gets on and off so quick all the time. And she just wants us to think she's so busy. My mom used to always say that. She'd be like, have you ever noticed when you call Shell, she's always going, hello? She's like, she's always trying to make you think, oh, I'm so busy, I can't talk. My brother knew both of them and called them old biddies. Often when he wanted to use the phone, they were on the line gabbing. One day, these ladies were on the phone for a particularly long time. At one point, each explained to the other that she had avoided getting a cold so far that winter. Hearing this, my brother sniffled into the phone. Each woman challenged the other about having a cold, and both claimed they hadn't lied. A pretty hot exchange of words resulted, with each concluding by saying the other had lied. Each vowed not to call the other anymore. Then my brother could use the party line whenever he wanted. This time it paid to be nosy. By William Wyckoff, Sylacauga, Alabama. Yeah, whenever you see that, the name, and they just have like those little things with a dot, just keep them hidden because they're those spam bots. So just, get rid of them. Who needed a computer? My oldest brother played chess over a party line with a neighbor's son who visited his parents some weekends. They did not chat while playing. They only informed each other of their moves. We knew the number of rings for each party on the line, so we could call people on other lines while my brother and his friend played. From Mabel Pritchard, Canton, New York. I don't remember if we had a certain number of rings. I don't think we did. Oh, thank you, Maritza.
You're not throwing anyone.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, she hurt her foot.
What'd you do to her?
Nothing. Can I call to complain? I wrote an essay titled Rural Telephone Phooey in 1948 when I was an 18-year-old student at Allegan County Normal School in Michigan, and I thought I'd share some excerpts. I think my outlook on old hens has changed a little in 60 years. Why is it that every time you want to use the telephone, there are two old hens cackling about what they have done? What are they doing? And what are they doing next week? Of course, in the same category are the people that ring in on the middle of a conversation. When somebody really special calls you long distance, then everyone on the line suddenly wants to call Gertie because it's really urgent, or they have to tell Daisy that the Cubs won the game last week. A typical conversation on our line goes like this. Well, Jane, someone's ringing in. I guess someone wants the line. Hello, Daisy, the toilets at school are, I'm sorry, but the line is busy. Oh, is that you, Alice? What were you saying? The line is busy. I said the toilets at the school are plugged. The line is busy. Well, this is important. Well, this is long distance. I'll send Sue down with the Sandy flush. The line is busy. All right. Well, such is life. I guess we all have to live and to try and make the best of it. From Sarah Knutson, DeWitt, Michigan. Hi, Davita. Are you at work? Carolyn's live too. We both were scheduled live at the same time and didn't know it. Hers was privated. She didn't realize it. Bonding a community. On a snowy New Year's morning in 1920, a general ring went out on the party line. At the emergency call, receivers were lifted in every single household in our small farming community near Laverne, Oklahoma. This is Lon Starbuck, a jubilant male voice rang out. Minnie has a girl, born at 6 this morning. She weighs 12 pounds, and we have named her Thelma Lonnie. 12 pounds? I am Thelma, and I obviously don't remember anything about that New Year's Day, but I do remember an incident on a hot summer day when I was about 5 years old. My two younger brothers were playing with matches near our barn, and soon had a roaring fire that quickly got out of control. Mother led our new team of horses out of the barn to safety, then ran into the house and gave the general ring on the party line. I can almost hear the frantic clanging of dinner bells calling men and boys from the fields. Neighbors were soon there with pitchforks, pitching hay away from the blazing barn. Others kept the pump going, filling barrels of water to douse the granaries and bunkhouse. The barn was destroyed, but the house, granaries, and bunkhouse were all spared thanks to the call for help on the party line. A few years later, my brother Charles and I wanted to share our joy with everyone about our new white colt. We gave the general ring on the party line, yelling, "Hello, everybody. We have a new colt to ride." Later, we were sternly admonished and informed that the general ring was for emergency use only. The party line forged a bond of love among neighbors, ringing out the news of sadness, joy, courage, and strength to all. From Thelma Hardin, Napa, California. Silence wasn't golden. Our first exposure to a party line came in 1956 when we built a new house in what was then the boonies. To call out of the area, we cranked for the operator and asked for long distance. She would say, "1 moment, please," and eventually the long distance operator would answer. During one of those long pauses, another caller cranked in and said, "The line is busy." She said, "Well, talk then," before slamming her receiver down. After that, I always hummed or whistled a tune while I waited. From Alex Doak, Colgate, Wisconsin. Hi, Elizabeth T. Happy New Year to all. According to NewsTubers, I'm 68, guys. They know I'm 66. They love to throw a couple extra years on there. Like, why? You know, like that's such an insult. She's a 66-year-old doxer who plays with creepy dolls. Since we still have people, I'll keep going for a little bit. Just kind of fun reading these. Not much longer, though. And here's when Sundays were funny. Sit back and enjoy this 1968 installment of this Moon Mullins for this comic strip. Moon Mullins, I don't remember this one. See, there's another one. Those used to be fun to read. Is anybody selling stuff yet over at Carolyn's? Yes, be safe, Earthbound. More ads from 1951. Does your throat feel ticklish? We've all suffered from one of these persistent little tickles that keeps us coughing. Your doctor, of course, knows of a number of solutions which will soothe and alleviate this condition. When he prescribes one, he'll probably advise you to apply it with an atomizer. Atom, atomizer. That's because he knows of the scientific research which has demonstrated superiority over atomization over gargling. Atomization reaches more of the affected area, thus often helps bring quicker relief. Your druggist carries devilbus atomizers, I don't know how to say it, both to use at home or leak-proof pocket ones for use at business or while traveling. The Bis Company, Toledo, Ohio, and Windsor, Ontario. It says wind, snow, ice, and sleet can bring a nasty cold and maybe even the winter blahs. These old ads show plenty of ways to beat both with warm clothing, pharmaceutical remedies, and even some travel options for racing to a speedy recovery of body and mind. Oh, is Carolyn selling mini brands? And then rip-ons for loafing and lounging. These things here for the feet, 1950. And then Daddy will be back tonight from TWA. Okay, I'm going to 2 hours and that will do it. That's 2 hours. 2 hours. Here's more ads. Smith Brothers Cough Drops, 1929. 1949. If Peter Pain has you all tied up with a chest cold, quick, rub in Ben Gay. Peter Pain. And then 1951, for first aid for cold misery, make your first choice sparkling, refreshing Alka-Seltzer. Well, that's still today, and Ben Gay too, for headache, acid, indigestion, muscular pains. And a 1953 Champ hat, a 1929 Smith Brothers Cough Drops. In pinafores and pantaloons, there were snug little pockets that seemed just made for boxes of delicious Smith Brothers Cough Drops. Since 1847, careful mothers have given their children this absolutely pure, safe protection against coughs and colds. And children always love Smith Brothers' delightful candy, in quotes. Thanks, Tracy. And the Smith Brothers. And this is Davida. I don't know if she's still here to listen. This looks like it would be Davida, though. Looks more like fur than fur itself. Borgana. As warm as fur, too, but so light it floats on your shoulders like the flutter of a feather. Borgana is the first word in cream soft luxury, the last word in smartness. Only Borgana, an exclusive blend of Orlan and Dynel, looks and feels like Borgana. Oh, this would be Moo, though. This would be Moo for real. Because I have seen Moo dressed up like this. And, oh, yeah. Looks like she was a model. This would be Moo. You'll love it. You'll love it so. You'll hate to see cold weather go. At fine stores everywhere. In cognac is shown, champagne, moonstone, black, in Mrs., junior, petite, and children's sizes. For name of store nearest you, write any of the makers listed below. Let's see which ones look like. Gordon, maybe. I don't remember any of these other stores. Moo? Are you here, Moo? But I could see Davita in this too. Because they're both those kind of women, you know. I don't know what the Ontario is. I never have read that. Hi, TC. Thank you for coming by. Here's Carolyn and all their spaghetti and meatball recipes, cannoli in a glass, oregano, garlic bread, nutty Brussels sprouts. And here's another ad. And now a word from 1961. Popeye macaroni, new way for kids to eat spinach and love it. A sensational new macaroni food. Buitoni's Popeye macaroni with spinach. Great for kids and they love it. Macaroni that looks like Popeye. Toy comic figures and Popeye cutouts with every box. Best with your favorite Buitoni sauce. Try these 3 other intriguing macaroni shapes. Wagon wheels, spacemen, cars and bikes from South Hackensack, New Jersey. I don't remember this at all. Oh, thank you, Easily Distracted. That's so sweet of you. Thank you. Can you guys see the macaroni? And you know you didn't have to do that. Anybody ever heard of this? Here's look how nice this is. Picture of cooking for 2. Here's stirring up memories. Fresh out of college, I managed this lunchroom crew at Central High School on Grave Avenue in St. Louis in 1950. I'm in the middle with my white uniform and tight hairnet, notes Ann Massa of Kansas City. This was my first job out of college, and my tasks were to write menus, order the food, collect the money, and make ends meet. My supervisor checked my menus monthly for nutritional content and variety, and an inspector came around regularly to check for cleanliness. I don't know if you guys can see that or if it's too dark. Birthday gifts kept giving. My grandmother was a pie master, and when we were born, we got fruit trees as gifts from her. As the years went by, those gifts paid us many times over with wonderful apples and cherries. Strawberry rhubarb pie was also one of her specialties. My sister and I picked the fruit, and then were assigned to peel the apples and pit the cherries. When we were rewarded with the scraps left over from the crust, we were rewarded with the scraps left over from the crust, which we filled with jelly and baked. This is the glass rolling pin below she used. It's filled with cocoa. From Barbara Karpinski, Somerset, New Jersey. Oh, wow, how cool. Father paid it forward. At age 11, my father left school to help support his family. During the Depression, when he was in his 20s, he sold apples in front of the G. Fox department store in Hartford, Connecticut. After many jobs in the grocery business, my father worked his way up to manager. During World War II, he was employed at Everybody's Market in Bristol. My dad helped many customers who needed to feed their families, but had modest means and limited ration privileges. From Ronald Brauman, Norwich, Connecticut. Warm winter treats in a well. During the winter of 1959 to 60, my neighbor husband, was on temporary duty with the UNIVAC project in White Bear Lake, Minnesota. The house we rented had a stove with a deep well burner. We were close to the lake, and our family spent all our leisure time ice skating. The most soothing memory of that time was the treat after skating: hot chocolate, potato soup, or tomato soup, waiting in the deep well to warm us up. I've never heard of that. 292 for one lot. OMG. You should, Bonnie. You should sell. Saucepan was their dipper. When I was a child, my favorite breakfast was hot chocolate pudding with toast. That sounds good. I was a depression baby, and the breakfast menu probably was standard fare for many people back then. Hey, Mike. Oh, I'm glad for her too. That is wild. Um, After I married, I asked my mother how to make it, and this is the recipe she gave me: half dipper of milk, 2 tablespoons cocoa, 2 tablespoons cornstarch, and a half cup of sugar. That was it. I had to make it many times to determine how much was half a dipper. What most people call a saucepan, we called a dipper. From Jean Stanton, Tracy, Minnesota. Fill her up with ham and beans. One of the places where we lived in the early 1940s was a small apartment located behind a combination gas station and market. My mom cooked wonderful pinto beans at least once a week, and usually she would take a small bowl of the hot beans to the owner of the gas station, who was also our landlord. In turn, he would sometimes give mom the skin from a ham to flavor her next pot of beans. I remember begging to have a piece of that cooked skin with my beans, fat and all. My brother Lindy always tried to discourage me from eating the fat. He couldn't understand how I could eat that fatty skin, but it sure tasted delicious to me at the time. From Ivana Williams, Atwater, California. Best soup ever from School Pot. I was born in eastern Colorado, 15 miles from the nearest town and 2 miles from the nearest school. My brothers and I often had to walk to school in deep snow, so to keep our hands warm, Mother put baked potatoes in our pockets. That's clever. When we got to school, we added them to the pot of milk, bacon, onion, etc., that other students had brought. The result was the best soup I have ever tasted, from Sydney Stone, Hayward, California. Many cooks didn't spoil the stew. The kitchen was the gathering place for our big family. There were 10 kids in our clan, and all were expected to be at the dinner table. We all had our responsibilities: sons, daughters, dad, or most important, mom, who was in charge. In this 1953 photograph below, Brother Ed, who had just returned from his tour of duty with the U.S. Army, exhibits his KP prowess. We needed 2 sacks of potatoes to fill the tummies of this family, from Maud Andrew McKeesport, Pennsylvania. And then there's another picture up here called Salad Days. Every child has a favorite food, but not every child names a doll after it. I think I was the only girl in the world who had a doll named after potato salad, or tater salad as I called her, relates Julie Dupree Cantu of Hermitage, Tennessee. She had plastic arms and legs, a cloth body, and brown hair with a pretty awful haircut, courtesy of my scissors and me. I still like potato salad, but I no longer have tater salad. I miss her bad haircut and all. Aw, how cute. This little girl reminds me of somebody. Must be a family that I watch on YouTube, maybe. I think she reminds me of a little boy, actually. And then here's the brother showing his KP prowess. Okay, 152. Got 7 minutes. No, 8 minutes. 8 minutes. Embarrassing moments. How about that? This one should be good to finish up with. Let me get a drink. You're baking bread, Tracy? I'm ending then. I'm going over to Carolyn's. And I'll probably be working on my doll as I sit there and listen. I got a lot with my fairy flower doll. Still have to do her head and body and that. It's taken a while. I can't get the head right. So little, I don't know. And I have to make her hair and everything. Embarrassing moments. Okay, Karen. Thanks, QB. Hi, MD. The wrong stuff. As a young wife and mother in 1956, I decided to bake a birthday cake for my mother-in-law. The chocolate cake with chocolate icing looked perfect, and I knew my little boys would like it too. When cake and ice cream were served after dinner, my father-in-law took the first bite of cake and got the funniest look on his face. I knew something was wrong. My mother-in-law tasted hers, and she said, "Cough syrup." She was a Raleigh home products dealer and recognized the flavor. Since our bathroom was upstairs, I had the cough syrup in the kitchen to keep it handy for my little boys' colds and coughs. Raleigh sold vanilla and cough syrup in similar bottles, even though the labels were the same color and style. I had used the wrong brown stuff. There was a lot of teasing over that mistake, but the ice cream was good. From Marilyn Frias, Fulton, Illinois. Ugh. Long undies, long night. Every Thursday night in the 1930s of our town of Hamilton, Ohio, the Palace Theater held a big double feature. usually a cowboy movie in what was called Eddie Mason's Big Show, where they would give away sacks of groceries and maybe a free theater ticket or two. There would be a drawing if your ticket number was called, you went up and got to fill a sack heaped full of groceries. What a thrill for the winners. In the middle of the giveaway, they would award prizes for other things. You might get a prize for wearing a green polka dot dress, for example, or carrying a safety pin or rabbit's foot. One night, they called out for anyone wearing long underwear to come up on stage. My dad jumped up, went to the stage, and pulled up his pants legs, showing everyone his long johns. Everyone cheered, but I was so embarrassed. I was sure some of my friends were in the crowd. The man yelled, $1 for the man with the long underwear. Needless to say, that sort of ruined the night for me. From Frances Johns, Houston, Texas. She didn't call it long johns. You know how they would call those long johns? Called it long underwear. Oh, no, she did call it long johns. Her last name is Johns now. Rigid directions. More than 50 years ago, when I was a bride of 19, I attempted to follow my new husband's request to use lots of starch when laundering the many white shirts that he wore as a minister. A week after our honeymoon, I heavily starched all 15 or so white cotton shirts. When they dried on the clothesline, they stacked up stiffly, almost to the ceiling when placed on a bed. It makes for an amusing picture now, but at the time I dissolved into tears when he told me I meant cuffs and collars. A sobbing call to my mother brought her hurrying to my rescue to show me how to rinse away the starch and redo the collars and cuffs. Then she showed me how to iron a man's shirt, which proved extremely useful. I've often wished I had taken a photo of the pile of shirts, but the memory will never leave me. There's been much hilarity over the years thanks to the story. From Janet Johnson, Concord, Massachusetts. Oh, thank you, Scott. You're a doll. Thank you so much. Have a very happy New Year, Scooter. Love your fun personality. Thank you so much. Didn't have to do that. But you're a doll. Thank you. And thanks, Lisa. Thank you guys for coming. And I'm going to head over to Carolyn's. And I will see you guys there. Thank you so much for coming. And I won't be chatting as usual, unless I do voice to text. Because his hand really, really, really does hurt, guys, when I start texting. And I use the stylus thing too, and then I'll not use it. And thank you all for coming. Love y'all. Okay, Burnt. I'll give you a tip. Make sure you take your vitamins every day. Okay? Thank you, Crime Scene Cleaner. You're such a doll. Thank you, guys. You're so sweet. See y'all later. See you on the flip side. We'll try to find out Casey Rex, okay? Guys, thanks for coming. Bye-bye. Let's see. Thank you.